Welcome to See the World with Vivi. Hello, everyone. In CCP propaganda, Zhou Enlai and his wife Deng Yingchao are portrayed as lifelong revolutionary partners. But in reality, Deng was merely a political partner and tool chosen by Zhou. His emotional life wasn't as pure as the CCP claims. Today, we'll uncover this hidden history and talk about three people who held a place in Zhou Enlai's emotional world. Many have heard that Zhou Enlai was gay, but in fact, he may have been bisexual. The claim that Zhou was gay mainly comes from disclosures by Cui Wing-mui, former editor of Hong Kong's Open magazine, in her book. Between 1913 and 1917, Zhou Enlai studied at Nankai Middle School in Tianjin. Cui Wing-mui reveals in her book that a young, naive Zhou Enlai developed special feelings for his junior, Li Fujing, during this time. Cui believed this was a homosexual complex. Back then at Nankai Middle School, they were almost inseparable. In Zhou's diary, he often used nicknames like Dear Friend and Brother Hui for Li Fujing. Zhou's Nankai classmates also said he was extremely averse to women at that time. In school plays, he often played female roles, and he did so with remarkable vividness. After graduation, Zhou went to study in Japan. In his diary there, he repeatedly expressed a dislike for heterosexual marriage. For example, on February 9, 1918, he wrote, "I think in life, love is one thing, and marriage is another. Love is born of emotion, regardless of gender or species. If one side shows affection and the other responds, that's love. So even horses and dogs can show gratitude and affection. As for marriage, that union is purely for starting a family and continuing the human race." Zhou Enlai hoped that Li Fujing would also go to Japan after graduating from middle school. In August 1918, when Zhou learned Li had been accepted to Hong Kong University, he was devastated. His diary became erratic, with brief, sorrowful entries like, "In the evening breeze or by the rainy window, I miss home and my brother Hui. It's unbearable. The moonlit night is desolate, just like old times. Recalling the past, my heart is filled with grief." These are clearly the words of someone missing a lover. Afterward, Zhou failed 2 exams for government-funded study. He no longer had the heart to stay in Japan. In early 1919, he returned to Tianjin to attend the newly founded Nankai University. Han Suyin, a writer who greatly admired Zhou, wrote in her book about his early relationship with Deng. At that time, he seemed to be in love with another girl, whose name was carefully kept secret. This girl whose name was kept secret was Zhang Ruming. Zhang Ruming could be described as a lady from a wealthy family. Her grandfather was the richest man in the area, and her father was a county magistrate. Coming from a wealthy background, she received a good education early on. At 14, Zhang Ruming was admitted to the Tianjin Jili First Women's Normal School, where she became classmates with Deng Yingchao, who was a few years younger. She was quite well known at school, not only for her outstanding looks, but also as a top student and a talented writer, often publishing works in the school journal. After the May 4th movement broke out, Zhou Enlai, Zhang Ruming, and Deng Yingchao were all swept up in the movement. It was at this time that their lives began to intersect. On September 16, 1919, under the leadership of Zhou Enlai, 20 radical youths, including Zhang Ruming and Deng Yingchao, founded the Awakening Society in an office of the Tianjin Students' Union and invited Li Dazhou to give a speech. Zhang Ruming's parents strongly disliked her passion for such movements and repeatedly urged her to focus on her studies at school. Instead of listening, Zhang Ruming became even more active, even joining Zhou Enlai to protest the Tianjin Police Department's closure of the Students' Union, which led to her being imprisoned for 6 months. In a fit of rage, Zhang's father published a notice in the newspaper severing ties with her. In prison, Zhang Ruming and Zhou Enlai became close friends, building a bond of trust and even sharing secrets with each other. To prepare for the worst, Zhou Enlai gave 2 of his manuscripts, Celibacy and My Confession, to Zhang Ruming, while she gave her prison diary to him. Zhou Enlai's commitment to celibacy at the time was not unrelated to his feelings for his junior fellow student. After being released from prison, Zhou Enlai and others went to Beijing to find Li Dazhao to seek his advice on the future of the youth movement. Li Dazhao suggested that Zhou Enlai go to Europe to study. At that time, Zhou Enlai's junior, Li Fujing, had already studied civil engineering at the University of Hong Kong for a year. Because Zhou Enlai was going to Europe, he gave up his degree and went with him, though he later went to the UK to study civil engineering. He returned home in 1925 after finishing his studies, while Zhang Ruming also resolutely applied for the French preparatory class at Baoding Yude Middle School. Upon learning that Zhang Ruming was going to study in France, her father was firmly opposed. He forcibly took his daughter home, wanting to marry her off as quickly as possible. Zhang Romain left behind a final letter and escaped from home by jumping out of a window under the cover of night. On November 7, 1920, Zhou Enlai and others, as part of the 15th group of students going to France, 197 in total, boarded the French liner Porthos for the long voyage to Europe. Zhang Ruming was on the same ship, having been hired as a special correspondent in France for the Beijing Morning Post. After arriving in France, Zhou Enlai wrote to friends at the Nankai Awakening Society, saying that when he first arrived in Europe in late 1920, he still had some reservations about radicalism. By the fall in 1921, he was determined to follow communism. In Paris, he joined the Socialist Youth League. The Comintern sent people to guide foreign students in studying Marxism and the International Communist Revolution, and also provided financial support. Zhou Enlai's English was good, allowing him to communicate directly with Comintern representatives, so his status in the Youth League grew. The Comintern began training Youth League members on how to engage in struggle. In September 1921, Chinese students in France illegally occupied the University of Lyon. Many were arrested by French police, and 104 students, including Kai Hessen, Li Lisan, and Chen Yi, were forcibly deported. Meanwhile, Zhou Enlai, who stayed behind the scenes, managed to escape. The following year, the Chinese Youth Communist Party in Europe was founded in Paris. Both Zhou Enlai and Zhang Ruming were members. Due to her excellent French, Zhang Ruming could read Marx and Engels. She often led study groups and published articles in their official journals. The relationship between Zhou and Zhang became very close at this time, and they even lived together. During this period, Zhou Enlai stayed in various European cities due to Comintern intelligence ties, while Deng Yingchao was running the Women's Daily in China. Zhang Ruming also actively contributed articles to it. Deng Yingchao also never stopped corresponding with Zhou Enlai. In 1924, Zhang Ruming was secretly investigated by French police for speaking at a Lenin memorial event and was nearly deported by the authorities. At the same time, due to her wealthy family background, the CCP also subjected her to strict scrutiny. Zhang Ruming felt very confused by this and finally decided to distance herself from politics and focus on academia. She withdrew from the Youth Communist Party and moved into a Catholic women's dormitory. With the support of a Chinese widow, she continued her studies in France alone. In 1927, Zhang Ruming was admitted to the University of Lyon with honors and a full scholarship. Her doctoral thesis was a study of the most famous French writer of the time, André Gide. Zhang Ruming's desire to stay away from politics might have been related to Gui's ideas. Like all left-wing intellectuals, Gide once had high hopes for the Soviet communists and even participated in French Communist Party activities. But after returning from the Soviet Union, he found that the Soviet Communist Party was not the world he longed for. At that time, for security reasons, Zhou Enlai had already returned to China. When news of Zhang Ruming leaving the party reached China, Zhou Enlai was deeply shocked. Years later, Zhou Enlai told his niece that after she announced her withdrawal from the party, it helped him make up his mind to end their relationship. When Zhou Enlai broke up with Zhang Ruming and wrote to Deng Yingchao to express his love, Deng was very surprised and wrote back asking, "What about Ruming? Why haven't you mentioned Sister Ru Oming in your recent letters?" CCP history expert Sima Lu, summarizing the love triangle between Zhou Enlai, Zhang Ruming, and Deng Yingchao, said Deng was initially at a disadvantage because she stayed in China to build her own political status. While Zhou Enlai and Zhang Ruming were deeply in love in Paris, cooperation between the nationalists and communists was brewing back in China. Deng Yingchao was a publicly active female communist. She served as the head of the women's department in Tianjin and later as a committee member and women's department head in Guangdong. After Sun Yat-sen passed away, Soviet advisor Mikhail Borodin became the de facto power behind the Nationalist Party. Deng Yingchao was very close to Borodin and his wife, which made her well acquainted with the top figures of the Nationalist Party. Returning to China, he became Whampoa Military Academy's deputy political director at the end of 1924. Deng Yingchao was a woman who wielded influence over Borodin from behind the scenes. Zhou Enlai recognized Xiao Qiao's power and finally gave up his celibacy to officially marry Deng Yingchao. Afterward, Zhou's steady rise within the Nationalist Party, even winning Chiang Kai-shek's trust, was all thanks to Deng Yingchao's behind-the-scenes groundwork. In the Second Central Committee of the Nationalist Party, Deng was elected as an alternate member, ranking ahead of veterans like He Yangchen. At that time, Zhou Enlai was a nobody, so his decision to leave Jiang Rumin and marry Deng Yingchao was purely a political marriage. It's worth noting that, Zhou Enlai wanted to carry on his family line, but he did too many bad things and was destined to have no heirs. They actually had 2 children at one point. Deng Yingchao took it upon herself to abort the first child. Zhou Enlai was furious when he found out, shouting, "Why didn't you consult me?" The second child was a 10-pound boy, but he was severely injured by forceps during delivery and died shortly after. In the spring of 1930, in a small cafe in Lyon, France, under dim candlelight, Zhou Enlai met Jiang Ruming, disguised as a young businessman in a suit. He had specifically detoured through France to see her while on his way to a meeting in Moscow. Zhou Enlai told Jiang that he had already married Deng Yingchao back in 1925. Looking at her former lover with whom she once shared such glory, Jiang Ruming's eyes filled with tears, and she was overcome with emotion. Jiang Rumin never could have imagined that this handsome man before her would soon personally plan and participate in the massacre of Ji Shenzhang's entire family. Before leaving, Zhou Enlai told Jiang Ruming that although she had left the party, she must protect its secrets with her life. Jiang Ruming promised to keep revolutionary secrets for life. She probably didn't realize what that promise would eventually mean for her. Was she, in some mysterious way, signing another life-and-death pact with the devil? On May 31, 1930, Zhang Ruming married Yang Kun, a folklore scholar pursuing his doctorate at the University of Lyon. They agreed to stay out of politics for life and focus on academic research. In 1931, China's first PhD couple, Zhang Ruming and Yang Kun, returned to Beiping. Zhang Ruming was hired as a professor at the College of Liberal Arts of Beiping Sino-French University. In 1948, Yang Kun followed Wu Wenzhao's advice. He felt Yunnan was a multi-ethnic province, and to study ethnology, it was best to go there. So the couple went to work at Yunnan University. During this time, Jiang Ruming kept her promise to Zhou Enlai and never revealed her former identity. Unexpectedly, the CCP soon seized power and established its regime. Starting in 1950, Jiang Ruming began asking to rejoin the party. Little did she know, her 1924 withdrawal had become an indelible stain in the eyes of the CCP. Even as her applications grew longer and longer, she failed to gain the trust of the party organization. Jiang Ruming remained a primary target for struggle sessions throughout various political movements. On April 8, 1955, on his way to Indonesia for the Afro-Asian Conference, Zhou Enlai made a special stop in Kunming, Yunnan. He was accompanied by Chen Yi and others at the time. Jiang Ruming and Yang Kun were granted an audience with Zhou Enlai. Zhang Ruming reported to Zhou Enlai that she was actively trying to align herself with the party. She spoke with some excitement about her time in France. Suddenly, Zhou Enlai interrupted her, saying, "Back then, you joined the Youth League, not the party." Zhang Ruming was stunned. 30 years ago, she had clearly joined the party in the presence of her sponsor, Zhou Enlai. Looking back on this years later, Zhou Enlai solved the mystery during a conversation with Chen Yi. Leaving the league is a lesser mistake than leaving the party. It seems Zhou Enlai still harbored some personal concern for Jiang Ruming. This meeting would be the last time they ever saw each other. How could Jiang Ruming have known that Zhou Enlai was originally headed to Indonesia, but his intended flight had been targeted with a time bomb? Zhou changed his plans at the last minute and went to Kunming, but he let the delegation staff board his plan to deceive the enemy and ensure his own safety. This decision resulted in the deaths of 11 people, including his subordinates and foreign journalists. During that time, Zhang Roming was almost obsessed with the idea of joining the party. In 1957, her son, Yang Zidao, expressed some differing political views in a letter home. She actually turned the letter over to the organization, asking them to help educate her son as a show of her loyalty. As a result, her son was labeled a rightist and imprisoned in a labor camp for 22 years. Jiang Ruoming and her husband were not spared either. They were also labeled as rightists. Jiang Ruoming's loyalty was met with prolonged struggle sessions against her at Yunnan University. In her despair, Jiang Ruming thought of Zhou Enlai. In fact, 2 months after meeting Zhou in Yunnan, Jiang Ruming received a letter from the State Council inviting her to Beijing to work as a foreign language secretary for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and as a French translator for the Women's Federation. But Jiang devoted herself to academia for years and declined diplomatic work. Jiang Ruming sent a letter to Zhou Enlai through someone, but she never received a reply. On the morning of June 18, 1958, the Chinese Department of Yunnan University held another struggle session, demanding Jiang Ruming explain her traitorous experience of leaving the party in 1924. Unable to bear the humiliation, Jiang Ruming jumped from the Panlong River Railway Bridge during the lunch break of the struggle session. It's said that when she was pulled ashore, she was still breathing, but because of her status as a key rightist, people didn't dare to rescue her. Jiang Ruming lingered for an hour or two in a dying state before finally passing away. She was 56 years old. On June 24th, Jiang's husband, Yang Kun, returned from a meeting in Beijing. Upon hearing of Jiang Ruming's suicide, he immediately stated that she was a traitor and deserved to die. This was the life of Jiang Ruming, Zhou Enlai's first love. Well, that's all for today's history story. See you next time.